What does it take to run a multi-million-dollar empire while keeping everyone around you full? Today, we're diving into the mind of Gustavo Fring, one of the most calculated and disciplined characters in TV history. What can we learn from his methods, his strategy, and his ability to always stay one step ahead? Welcome to the channel. It's PhilosopherNas, where we break down life, strategy, and the art of thinking like the greats. If you're ready to take your mind to the next level, make sure to like and subscribe. Alright, this is where it gets interesting. Breaking Bad, Gustavo Fring explained.
Of all the antagonists in television history, Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad might be the best. On the surface, he's the mild-mannered owner of the fried chicken restaurant Los Pollos Hermanos. However, underneath his unassuming appearance, Gus is actually a ruthless and calculating drug kingpin, responsible for the distribution of meth throughout the entire Southwest. Gus has been a fan-favorite character since his inception, and one of the most intriguing things about him is his mysterious background.
Yeah, in this show, you really don't get that much information about Gustavo. I remember probably like season 3 when Gustavo had a flashback of his brother getting killed. Juggler was talking about the only reason I didn't kill you was because I know who you are, Gustavo Fring. And that myself, that made me even go on ChatGPT and ask, what the fuck what was his background? And the best that I found out was that Gustavo back in Chile, he may have been one of the top commanders under the dictator. You really don't know a lot about him except for he's from Chile.
Throughout the show, we only get hints at his backstory and his motivations for why he built his drug empire. Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything we know about Gustavo Fring.
I mean, what do we know about Gustavo Fring?
It's crazy because Hank was right all along. Man, the whole time, everybody was just calling him crazy. You think Colonel Sanders is our guy?
Now, this information comes from both Breaking Bad and the prequel show Better Call Saul. So just know that I'll be including spoilers from both.
I never watched Better Call Saul. I may watch it after I finish rewatching Breaking Bad. May or may not. They said it wasn't that good, but you know, you never truly know until you watch it yourself and get your own taste.
Just know that I'll be including spoilers from both shows in case you haven't seen them.
Spoiler warning.
Gustavo Fring was born in Chile, though it's highly probable that the name Gus Fring is just an alias. When Hank looks into his background, he can find no records of him in Chile. Now, Gus claims that this is due to poor record keeping by the Chilean government.
Chile is in South America, and it was back in the day too. That was an amazing cover up for that.
But we see in a flashback that Don Eladio says that he also knows who Gus really is.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
That the name is a cover. Either way though, I'll continue to refer to him as Gus for now. Gus was born to a very poor family, including 2 older brothers. When he was a child, he cultivated a fruit tree to feed himself and his family.
Damn.
When the fruit was eaten by a coati, he waited patiently and captured the animal, and kept it alive to prolong its suffering in revenge.
That's fucking just mental. What the hell? He just kept it and just watched it starve. Oh my gosh.
Its suffering in revenge. We get hints at Gus's methodical and psychopathic need for revenge,
yeah, he's crazy.
Even this early on.
He's crazy off the bat.
Now, we don't know much about Gustavo's time in Chile. However, we get hints that he was someone important.
Yep.
The reason Eladio lets Gus live is because he knows who he really is, but warned him that he was not in Chile anymore, implying that he was an important figure there.
La única razón por la cual tú estás vivo y él no es porque yo sé quién eres tú. Pero entiéndeme bien, ya no estás en Chile.
He had to have some type of rep. That nigga Alado, he was just killing niggas left and right. He didn't give a fuck.
It's hinted that Gus may have been involved with the government of Augusto Pinochet.
That's what I was talking about.
The dictator of Chile during this time.
That's what I was talking about.
Hector Salamanca also refers to him as the big generalissimo, meaning general, implying that he may have been with the military.
Gran hombre, gran generalísimo, gran cocinero es más parecido el hombre gallina.
Pinochet's government was also involved with death squads and other human rights abuses, which Gus may have been a part of.
Seeing how psychotic Gus was, he would probably be the perfect man for all that shit.
It might be why he was a known figure in the underworld, and why he would later cover up his true identity. He himself brings up these events on the show.
General Pinochet's government was guilty of a great many sins. First and foremost were its human rights abuses. But it was also notoriously unreliable at keeping records.
During this time, Gus met a number of people who would be important to him later on. First was Maximino Arciniega, a gifted chemistry student whose education Gus paid for. Another was Peter Schuler, an international businessman. Peter and Gus were involved in a situation that had their backs to the wall, though again, we don't know many details about what happened. Lalo Salamanca also describes a situation that happened in Santiago. Again, it's described in vague terms, but it's implied that it may have been something traumatic. This may have been what made Gus leave Chile, as in 1986 he fled the country and moved to Mexico with Max at his side. Together, the two opened their first restaurant, Los Pollos Hermanos.
One of the best cover-ups in TV history. You want to talk about money laundering?
Los Pollos Hermanos. The name, which means the Chicken Brothers in English, refers not only to their food, but also the close relationship the two had. Though the restaurant was considered a success, in reality it was a front for their meth operation.
For real.
At the time, meth was considered a poor man's drug, and the cartels were more interested in cocaine. However, Gus realized that the synthetic nature of meth meant that it could be produced anywhere, and with a talented chemist like Max, they could make a drug far more potent than cocaine.
They said it was way more addictive too. It's fucked up. I don't know everything about cocaine. Gus literally said himself, we have this drug, we can synthetically make it wherever we want, it's more potent and it's more addictive. Man, what? Yeah, that's a money grab, but it's really morals down the ground.
Potent than cocaine. All they needed was the backing of the Mexican cartel to scale their operations. Together, Gus and Max met with Don Eladio, the leader of the cartel, along with his subordinates Hector Salamanca and Juan Bolsa. They pitched their idea, but feeling insulted that Gus went behind his back, Eladio ordered Max killed. Though they let Gus live because of his reputation, from that day on, he would swear revenge on the cartel and begin a decades-long process of avenging Max.
I don't understand the cartel's method. How are you gonna kill another man's brother in front of you and then just expect nothing? You gave Gus like his final life mission. I'm gonna make sure y'all niggas perish. It has to be a better way than just killing his brother in front of him. Yeah, I understand it's a show of force, a show of power. You're leaving the future empty. And you have a loose end in Gustavo's crazy ass.
Decades-long process of avenging Max.
Decade. He was planning for a whole 10 years.
For blood, Hector.
Look at his face. Look at his eyes.
It's heavily implied that Gus and Max were lovers.
Gus was gay? Like, nothing against that. Damn.
Hector Salamanca taunts the two, saying they like what they see when he pees in the pool. He also calls them the Butt Brothers, again referring to them being gay. Lalo also calls Max Gus's boyfriend when referring to the incident. Though it's never outright confirmed, Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, and Giancarlo Esposito have all said that this was their interpretation of the character as well.
You know, Gus is holding on to his rage, his desire for revenge, and maybe he's holding on to this romance that he had, with his boyfriend Max.
After Max died, Gus did several things to honor his memory. He set up a fountain dedicated to Max in a small village that Gus owned. He also established a chemistry scholarship at the University of New Mexico in Max's name. However, this scholarship had an ulterior motive as well. It was a way for him to identify new and talented chemists, which he would need to continue his plans for a meth empire. After emigrating to the United States, Gus moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and began setting up a chain of restaurants throughout the American Southwest. He did this with the backing of Magical Electromotive, where his old friend Peter Schuler was an executive. He financed his logistical network with the plan of using it as a cover for a large-scale drug operation. In order to conceal his involvement, Gus became a prominent member of the Albuquerque Society.
Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Man, Gus was doing that. Hank was all over that. What Hank said, is this just a case of keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer? Sometimes the most simplest answer is the right one.
Member of the Albuquerque Society. He became a philanthropist and a big supporter of the DEA.
Look at that guy.
In order to throw off suspicion. To the average person, Gus was a mild-mannered business owner, and no one would ever think that he was involved with anything shady.
I'm supporting my community. I hide in plain sight, same as you.
Eventually, the cartel decided to get into meth after all, and wanting to remain close to them, Gus became one of their distributors north of the border. This caused friction between him and Hector Salamanca, who had his own operation in the area. This rivalry was encouraged by Don Eladio, who thought that it was a good way to keep any party from going strong enough to challenge him. Eventually, Hector suffered a stroke due to Nacho Vargas switching his medication.
Damn, bro. It be your own partner. Damn, Hector. You wouldn't even expect that shit. They switched that nigga medication now.
However, Gus refused to allow him to die, as he's waiting for his chance to get revenge for Max. Gus ended up saving Hector's life, but stops treatment so that Hector will be confined to a wheelchair and unable to speak.
That nigga's crazy, bruh. He said, death is too easy for you. Too easy. I'm gonna keep you alive and make you suffer. You get what you give.
This is exactly like the Coati from when he was a child, prolonging his enemy's suffering for his own amusement.
For real.
With Hector out of the way, Gus became the main distributor for the cartel.
I think I'm seeing a pattern here. Don't work with the cartel.
Though the drugs were synthesized in Mexico, Gus had plans to eventually build his own super lab in secret and cut the cartel out of the operation. To this end, he recruited Gail Bedecker to become his new chemist. Gail was a recipient of his scholarship, and Gus identified that he would be able to trust him to be a part of the operation. Gail set up the super lab, ordering all of the chemistry equipment that they would need.
It was Gail that did all that. Makes sense, makes sense. I have some capital for you. Tell me exactly what you need. There will be no cut corners. Gail was a really smart man. He knew the book probably front to back. Smart on Gus. Smart on Gus.
Equipment that they would need. It was also Gail that suggested that they work with Walter White, whose meth exceeded even his own.
That was Gail's idea? Gus had some input. See, I didn't know all this. I did not. I thought Gus was making all these decisions like by himself with no input. Gail, you got yourself killed.
Whose meth exceeded even his own. Now, there's an open question of whether or not Gus has a family in Breaking Bad. When Walt goes over to Gus's house for dinner, we see children's toys around the room. He also says that his children won't eat his favorite Chilean dish. However, when Jesse later goes over to his house, the toys are all gone, and there are no other references to Gus having a family. We also see in Better Call Saul that his house is really a cover, with an underground tunnel leading to a neighbor's house that acts as the base of operations. Again, a family is nowhere to be seen in all of this. It's likely that Gus was just manipulating Walt with his references to being a father.
Damn. That's more like it. That's more like it. Gus is a master manipulator. Walt all stressed out. Gus wants to fake reassure Walter, hey man, I'm a father just like you. You can trust me. Come on, I'm a father just like you. Something that people could connect on. Two fathers, come on. They have the same interests. They just want to protect and provide for their family. But, you know, Gus, it could just be a cover just to let Walt put his guard down.
To being a father. After all, he says that his kids don't respect the food he likes, something Walt can relate to. He also plays up the role of a father when convincing Walt to cook meth again, so the whole thing was probably just a lie to further his objective.
It definitely was.
A family just wouldn't have any place in Gus's deep and long-term plans for revenge on the cartel.
That's one thing about Gus, that boy focus driven. Anything that does not align with his goals, he immediately cuts out. A family, probably couldn't give a shit about a family.
For revenge on the cartel. Overall though, I hope I've helped unravel Gustavo Fring's character. Gus is one of the most fascinating characters in all of television,
He is.
but his backstory is only given to us in small pieces and across multiple shows.
How did he know there was a bomb right there? He knew something was off. That scene right there really threw me off. That's some supernatural shit. He probably just trusted his gut.
Hopefully this video has helped with that, and you can expect more Breaking Bad analysis coming soon.
Alright, Gustavo Fring explained. So a little summary of that video. Gustavo Fring was born to a poor family, probably had a very tragic childhood. His most earliest stories was that some animal ate the food from the only tree he ate from, and instead of killing the animal, he just caught it, starved it to death, and just watched it suffer. If you're doing that at an early age as a kid, I'm not gonna say your morals are gone, but like something's literally wrong with you. To just watch something suffer and like to actually get enjoyment out of that, something's wrong with you, man. Somehow found his way under the leadership of a dictator in Chile, which was known for constant human rights abuses, which Gustavo was probably the head of, God all we know. That's still like his early life. So while you're doing all of that, you only get hardened and hardened and hardened and hardened. Like things just do not phase you anymore. After the dictatorship fell, something tragic happened in Chile, which made him fled to Mexico. They moved to Mexico, started started Los Polos Hermanos, a chicken chain, but was really just a cover up. Went to the United States, scaled it up, started selling a little bit meth, but they knew, go big, you want to work with the cartel. He started selling meth behind the cartel's back on their turf just to set up a meeting with them, and that's where his brother got killed. Hector got backdoored by the cartel, and then Gus saved his ass just to prolong his suffering. He could have gave him treatment so that he could be like well up again. He kept the treatment to the most minimum just so he could be alive, and that's why he was so ready to kill Gustavo. He killed himself, but he killed Gustavo with him, and that to Hector, that was a way out right there. Damn. And that's where Gus's problem came back to bite him in the ass. Gustavo Fring explained. That's gonna be PhilosopherNas. If you guys like this video, make sure to like this video. If you guys want to see more content like this in the future, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you guys get notifications whenever I drop. This was a really fun video to react to. Gustavo Fring explained. I learned a lot. Comment below everything that you learned. I read every single comment and I'm gonna try to reply to every single one of them. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one.